All right. Welcome to episode 4 of Before the Pros, a Chapel Hill-based podcast where we give the student-athlete perspective on all things college athletics. Today, I'm joined by UNC Heavyweight Wrestler. He was ranked in the top 50 nationally this year, coming into his junior campaign, and he competed this summer at the U.S. Open, the U23 Open. So, Mr. Aydin Gutty Guttridge. Thank you, Aydin, for coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem, Perry. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. I'm excited to have you. So I want to talk with, obviously I'm happy you're here, but I want to ask you about what happened to the arm, man. Your arm's in a sling.
Yeah, so happened the first duel of the season, unfortunately. I went for like a routine like body lock. Next thing you know, I'm getting thrown. And I'm just like, what the hell? I land on my shoulder. And I'm like, dude, there's something wrong with it. And I didn't really know it was wrong. It was kind of like, this doesn't feel right. And of course, I'm the guy who's like, all right, there's something wrong, but I can keep wrestling. So I go like this. I move my shoulder, and I'm like, yeah, dude, there's something definitely wrong with it. And then I try to wrestle, and next thing you know, I stand up, and I'm like, we're walking back to the center of the mat, and I'm like, dude, my shoulder's sticking up. And I didn't know what it was. I'm like, I either dislocated my shoulder or my clavicle was pink like that. And next thing you know, I try to keep wrestling. I get pinned, and I'm trying to push myself off the mat with my right arm, and I couldn't even do it. And what sucks is 2 weeks before that duel, I actually sprained my left AC joint.
Oh.
At practice. Literally 2 weeks before
So the other shoulder.
Yeah, so my left shoulder.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, I got pinned, and I'm trying to push myself off the mat, and I couldn't. And I'm just like, dude, I got to get up. Because if I didn't, I would have been like, this is embarrassing. So I get myself up, shake the dude's hand, and I walk over to my trainer, and they're like, what you do? I'm like, I have no idea. And they're testing me for a dislocated shoulder. Taking me through full range of motion. I had it, and it was weird. And they're like, what do you think you did? I'm like, I think I tore my AC joint. Because it felt kind of similar to my left one. But it was weird. I didn't really have pain with it because there's no ligaments to hold down my clavicle. So there was no pain to be there.
Yeah.
And so I go through this whole process, and obviously I go to the athletic training room in Carmichael, and I'm going through it, trying to punch a wall as hard as I can with my left arm. But like I said, my left shoulder's still hurting, so I could barely do anything with that. And I'm just sitting there like, I broke down crying like, dude, I know my season's over.
Yeah.
And it's like all the summer stuff I did, I was here all summer doing an internship for lifting. I was doing lifting. I was wrestling all summer, and it was just like, dude, it finally something happens to where like I can't actually compete through it. And it hurt me, and it hurt, I know, obviously the coaches, and it was just like, dang, this really is the end of my season.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's when you get injuries and stuff, it's hard physically, but I feel like mentally that's the big killer. Like last season, like I was having a really good year, and then in December, I felt like I pulled my groin. Turned out I didn't, but I tried to swim through it, right? Because that's what we do. You go until you can't anymore.
Go till the wheels fall off,
exactly.
as I like to call it.
Exactly. And so we were at our tri meet in January, and I couldn't kick breaststroke anymore, and I knew my season was over. And it was hard. Like, yeah, recovery was hard physically, but mentally, so that it was even that much harder. So talk to me about that mental side of dealing with injury and how you overcome it.
What's the funny part is, like, if I start back in January, obviously that's when my concussion happened in the middle of my match. No, it was in the third period of my match against Virginia. What's the funny part about that too is I was just becoming the starter for the season. I had that like turnaround mid-season, like, oh hey, I'm the guy now. The coaches know I'm the guy. They want me to go prove myself. I did. I started to at other meets. All of a sudden, get this weird skin infection. I couldn't wrestle against the Duke guy, and I'm like, dang it. All of a sudden, my parents are in town. My little brother's in town. My grandparents are in town. I'm like, all right, I hope I wrestle at this one, because I know I didn't get to wrestle at the Duke one because of the skin infection. I was cleared. Everything was good to go. Next thing you know, Coleman, our old head coach at the time, hands me the ankle bands, and I just get a big smile on my face. And I'm like, because we're starting a heavyweight that match too, and I'm like, all right, I get to set the tone. I'm the guy. Next thing you know, third period happens, big headbutt, blood just flowing down my head.
Where were you bleeding from?
The like middle part of my head, like about right here, like above my right eyebrow, almost like in my hair. And I had really long hair that at the time. It's before I did the buzz, and I was like, dude, that kind of hurt. And my trainer's like telling me to bend down because we had a shorter GA at the time, and I couldn't listen to her. And then the part that kind of stood out to me that was like something's kind of wrong is Coleman, my old head coach at the time, is trying to tell me to control my breathing. So I'm doing the, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out. And I'm like, next thing you know, I'm like, dude, my heart rate is still going nuts. Can't control my breathing right now. I'm like, all right. Head gets wrapped. I go back out there. The kid clubs me once. I see stars, and I'm like, yo. Kid clubs me again. I'm like, no stars again. I'm like, dude, I am definitely messed up right now. And so I end up winning the match, I think 8-3 still. And it was funny because all I could listen to during that duel was my dad. And all I heard was his voice. All I did was listen to that because my body wasn't really listening to myself, which was weird. It's kind of hard to describe what it's like wrestling with a concussion. And so that was kind of January. And so I got through that, recovered through that. And mentally, that was tough because obviously it messes with your emotions. And then I'm training for the U.S. Open. A month before that, I pulled my left hamstring doing sprints. No, sorry, my right hamstring doing sprints. And next thing you know, I'm like, all right, cool, I can still train. And I'm training on that. Day before we leave, I pull my left one. And I'm just like, dude, can I catch a break, please? Like, I've been getting hurt since January. And so I'm wrestling in Vegas. This is Greco, so this is upper body wrestling.
Yeah.
And my coach is like, you need to get a good leg drive. And I'm like, dude, I can barely push off my one leg, and my other leg still kind of needs to heal. And so I'm like, all right. Then one of my matches, I just feel from my calf all the way up to my butt, essentially just electric shock. I'm like, ow. I'm hopping on one foot back to the center of the mat. The ref's like, you good? I put my foot down. I'm like, yeah, we're good. So I'm just like, all right, we're fine. We're wrestling. And then that goes by, and about a month later, I'm getting ready for U23s, which is freestyle. And practice. Just doing a routine drill. Next thing you know, hear that in my left knee. Yeah, it was my LCL. Popped my LCL, and I'm like, dude,
no tear?
No tear.
Just a pop?
Just a pop. And I thought it tore because it was a loud pop. Even my teammate heard it, and he goes, you all right? I'm like, feels fine. Wake up the next day, I couldn't even bend my knee, and I'm like, dude. And I had a week till U23, so I'm like, well, you got to do it. And so we're at U23s, and I'm wrestling, warming up, and I couldn't run on the regular hardwood floors like you could because I'm wearing wrestling shoes, and with regular shoes, it was weird. It never hurt, and it would hurt straight across my knee. So at one point, I'm like, dude, I probably tore my meniscus. But then U23s goes by, I take 7th. And
yeah, you had a great performance there.
Yeah, it was all right. I think I could have done better, obviously, my knee. We can talk about that a little later.
Yeah.
And so then I get back, and after the tournament, I'm just like, dude, I can barely walk. And I'm just like, this sucks. And so the whole summer goes by, I get healthy again. Now it's like, boom, I sprain my left AC joint, and then my right, and then all of a sudden, bam, the big one happens. And it's just like, mentally, I was just like, dude, I'm getting wore out.
Yeah.
Because it's like, all these just keep happening. It's like, when can I just have a month go by without me actually not being hurt or not having to go into stallings? I've been in stallings every day since I think March. Every single day. I hate that place now.
Yeah. It's a great facility, but you go there, it gets monotonous, and then it's annoying because you're like, I'm only going here because I'm injured. And you see other people on your team who will go there like maybe once a week, not that often, and you're like, you lucky.
Exactly, dude. It's like, I enjoy going there when I'm going a cold tub doing recovery, but it's like, I got to go there to do PT, and then after practice, I'm back in there to do treatment on the area. Then it's like, now I'm going there and I'm doing bicep curls with a foam, it's like the putty. There you go. The putty that they try to grip. And I can barely do a bicep curl right now on my right arm. It's humbling as hell. And it's like, mentally, it's like, dude, this sucks.
Yeah.
But then it's like, you see the other athletes. It's like, you see the softball girl. She got hit by a car. Yeah. And the other day I'm in there and I'm like, dude, this is humbling. She goes, it is, huh? And I'm like, I'm sitting there. I'm like, I know she's saying it like in a good way. Like, yeah, like this, it sucks.
Yeah.
But it's like, I shouldn't have to complain in front of you.
Yeah.
Because like, got hit by a car. And it's just like, you got hurt doing something. You're just going home. Like, I at least got hurt wrestling, doing something I love. You know, it's like, dang. So it's like, that made me, I was like, all right, if she can do that, I think I can get through this shoulder. And they also found a torn labrum too.
In your shoulder?
Yeah, when I had surgery. Yeah. And so like my recovery went from like exactly 6 months to, all right, now it might be 6 to 9 months. And what also sucks too, like that weekend it happened, I was also told I might not be able to ever wrestle again.
Really?
Yeah. Because they thought it was like my last season for some reason, because it's my 4th year here. It's funny, it's my 4th year here, but I'm a sophomore eligibility wise. I'm about to be 23.
Hey, you're just like our foreigners that come in when they're 21 as a freshman. So.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And yeah, so the whole weekend, I go Thursday through till my appointment on Monday. I'm just like, my appointment on Monday. I'm just like, dude, what am I going to do? Like, you can, like, my trainers, like, even can tell, like, obviously I could barely sleep because I was in so much pain. And then I could barely also sleep because I'm thinking, like, what I love doing it might be over.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously you need time to do that. And you don't want to put your identity in a sport, but when you've been doing it since you can remember, and when your dad's also a Division I wrestler, it's like, dude, you want to gonna keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's like, and so obviously, like, I broke down at home and I just was crying in my bed. I'm like, dude, I don't know what to do. I can rehab this and not get surgery and try to wrestle, but I can barely move my arm right now. Or I can get surgery and try to just live a normal life. And at that point, I'm just like, dude, I'm 23. I'm about to be 23. Like, reality, I probably want to stop wrestling by the time I'm 25. So it's like, all right, I think we should just go through with the surgery, live a normal life. And then I asked the doctor on Monday, and it's like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, you'll be able to wrestle again. And it's like, oh yes. Mm-hmm. You know, it made me happy. So it's like, right now I'm finding the little mental, like the little victories is big, like, let's go. Yeah. And so like, I think to keep a positive mindset when you're hurt is the best thing you can do. And it's the little victories that add up obviously to the big one, which is to be fully back in your sport, whether it's softball, swimming, or wrestling. And it's like, cool. Somebody else can do it. I think I can do it too.
Yeah. For me, I like that reminder of that positivity and those small wins. I write my schedule out every day, and in the corner I write like some inspirational things that I keep them the same every time, but my last one is always beat yesterday, because no matter what I got going on, that's what I'm trying to do, is just beat yesterday, be better than I was yesterday. So if I'm hurt, that's the goal.
That's a good one. Be better than yesterday. I like the get 1% better every day.
Yeah. It's same idea. Same
mindset.
Yeah, exactly. It's just that those little wins, they add up. And so especially when you're dealing with something like that, you need that, because it seems daunting when you're like, oh, I have 6 months to go. Like, cause they told me, like, at the end of my season, they were like, one, we don't know what it is right now. And then when they did figure it out a month later, they were like, yeah, what you're supposed to do by the book is take 6 months off and do nothing. I was like, there's no way that's what I want to do. So, but it was just finding, like you said, finding those little victories. But I liked what you said about perspective and finding that perspective in other injured athletes, but I mean, you can find it pretty much anywhere in life. Like, we are blessed to be able to do what we do, even when we're injured. It's like you see people who are less fortunate, or like in swimming, they have disabled events. So there's a guy who like only has legs; he doesn't have arms, and I mean, they're flying down the pool. There's some guys with no arms and no legs that are still swimming. So guys like that, like watching that, I'm like, okay, how can't you be inspired?
That's giving me goosebumps right now.
Yeah, that's
like,
right.
Imagine seeing that in person. Oh my gosh. That would make me want to, like, as an athlete and as a competitor, like, if they can do that, dude, I'm gonna do the best I can every single time. Even if it's like a gimme, it's like, nah, I'm gonna give them 100% effort no matter what, just because you can.
Yeah, and they do, and they go all out, and that, like, when I see that and I'm complaining or whatever, I'm like, all right, no, shut up. Like, it's time to get back to work. Like, you got nothing to complain about. So sometimes those little reminders are like, all right, like, I'm all right. Like, I just gotta keep going. So
yep, hop back on the saddle and just go back to work.
absolutely. But I want to bring it back to you. You mentioned U.S. Open, like, you killed it there, and even with your knee injury. So how was that competition for you, and what's the difference between something like that and competing collegiately?
Yeah, so the U.S. Open was the Greco event. That was in Vegas. Okay. So then you're talking about U23s.
Okay, yeah.
So the U.S. Open and U23s were two different things. U.S. Open was Greco. I went 2-2. Greco's weird because it's all upper body wrestling. And so I trained it for a little bit. I'm an All-American in Greco when it came to Fargo. Fargo's this big tournament in North Dakota.
Okay.
This is where a lot of wrestlers actually go and get recruited. What sucks about Fargo is the year I placed for Greco, I also tore my UCL on my left elbow. I did it in the middle of the match, finished the match, lost 4-4 on criteria. So it's like, dang. I need one more to All-American. Just taped my elbow up and did it. And so the U.S. Open was Greco. So I was a little nervous because that was the first time I competed Greco since my injury. And I went 2-2, and I was like, I wasn't mad because I'm like, I definitely could have done better. But like, same time, it's like, dude, I thought my left hamstring was going to fall off. And then the U.S. Open, not the U.S. Open, the U23s, I had a lot of fun because I love freestyle. For some reason, I let loose. I don't think, I just wrestle. It's kind of weird to think about it. It's like I get in the zone a lot easier, I guess, for freestyle. And so we go to Geneva, Ohio. That's where it's at, I believe. And like I said, I'm warming up. My own team didn't provide a heavyweight to warm up with it. So then I'm walking around this tournament, like scrambling, looking for another heavyweight. I didn't even care if I was going to be the first guy who was going to wrestle. I was like, dude, I need somebody to warm up with. I finally find some random big heavyweight. And he goes, yeah, dude, I need a partner too. And I'm like, bet. And my coaches are like, who'd you warm up with? I'm like, just some random heavyweight. He goes, that's kind of weird, isn't it? I'm like, dude, you know how many times I've done this? Because I'm the biggest kid on the team, and usually when you travel with the team, our 197 pounders, the second biggest weight class. So it's like, dude, I'm 270. Like, I almost have 100 pounds, even I'm the second biggest guy on the team. And so, so I wrestle, warm up with that guy, get ready for my first match. I think my first match was a tech fall. Yeah, I think it was tech fall. I was kind of using a lot of my Greco, which was weird because I was using a lot of my upper body attacks, but my reshots and my go behinds, I know this is foreign language to people who don't understand wrestling, but this is basically defensive wrestling. But like, those were good. And even when I got to my offense was good. Obviously, I ran into the number 1 seed, and that guy I've wrestled a lot, Luke Luffman. That was the number 1 seed. Yeah. So he's from Illinois. So I'm from Illinois too. I actually wrestled him
You've seen him a lot then. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've wrestled him in the Fargo finals, actually, my last year at Fargo. And he beat me. And so it's like, I think there's a mental block too. So like, it's hard to beat an opponent that's you haven't never beaten, but like, you know that you're right there with him. Yeah. And so it's like, dude, I definitely got in my head in that one. My dad could tell too, like, I didn't open up at all. I didn't take my shots. I didn't even get to my simple underhook, which is what my main offense is. And it's like, and he's like, dude, just relax. And then I'm all right. I think I win the match after that because I think that's the blood round. So I beat that guy. And then I wrestle a Princeton kid, and he got in on a shot, and I was gonna go behind. Next thing you know, he gets my left leg, and puts me in a leg lace, and he rolls toward my left side, and I feel my knee pop again, and I'm just like, dude, and I'm sitting there like, ow, and Bobby, Coach Schreiner, we all know Bobby Schreiner, love
Bobby.
that dude. He comes in and checks on me because he see me limping, and he's like, you all right? I'm like, my left knee popped again, dude. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, well, my left knee popped like 2 weeks ago. Popped again. It hurts pretty bad right now. And I had one more match that day. It was an NC State guy. And I'm like, it's for 7th place. I'm like, I ain't losing this.
Yeah.
So I get,
you see that red NC State, you're like,
exactly.
all right, I got to go.
I'm not losing this. And so I'm just like, all right, cool, let's do this. I'm warming up. And like I said, I had to find random mat to run on just so that my knee wouldn't hurt as before my matches. And so before every match, I did that. And then we get to the NC State guy and handle him pretty well. Take my 7th place medal, run straight to get obviously my medal. Go see my parents because my dad was there. My favorite memory was at that tournament was my dad's like, dude, why don't you try a power half, which is a turn that you do in folk style.
Okay.
Because in freestyle you want to do like gut wrenches and leg laces, and so in Greco and freestyle, if you expose the back even slightly, like at 45 degrees, you get 2 points no matter what. Now in college, if you hold them there for a 2 count, you get 2. If you hold them there for a 3 count, you get 3. And now if you hold them there for a 4 count, you get 4 points. Dad's like, just throw a power half. And it was funny because in high school, he had 2 sayings. The one for me was power half him and go. And the one for my brother was good at a crossface butcher. He'd make his opponents smell it. He would, yeah. He would, my brother would put his nuts in his opponent's faces, and it was hilarious. And so my dad would say that, and after a power half, he's laughing in the back there, thinking about
there
that.
There he is, yeah.
And it was the funny part. It's the first time my dad ever said this. He's Facebook Living a match. So everybody on Facebook just hearing it. Now, everybody had 2 sayings. For me was power half him and go.
Yeah.
Because that's what my dad used to say. And so it's funny is when I power half this kid at U23s, I just point straight up to my dad. I'm like, you were right. Because he said power half him and go. And I just start laughing mid-match, like in my head, which is funny. As I'm power halfing this kid. And the awesome part about it is our photographer got a picture of me getting the power half in. And so I had a perfect Instagram caption for that weekend. It was power half him and go. I said, as my dad would say, power half him and go. And I had a bunch of friends call me like, dude, I read that in your dad's voice. And so my dad, everybody at home seemed to love him back in the wrestling because, dude, he would see things before it would even happen. I mean, he was a Division I wrestler. He used to be a high school wrestling coach, so he knows the sport well. And a lot of the reason me and my brother both wrestled and why I still wrestle is because of him and his influence on us. And so yeah, like U23s, like that was probably my highlight of my summer for wrestling. And then as the summer goes on, I did the internship with the strength and conditioning program here and just got massive.
Yeah. No, that was cool because I knew that you had gotten that concussion to end your season, and I saw that 7th place, and I was like, oh, Gutty's back. Like, yeah, he's back. He's ready
back,
for
baby.
this year. But nah, you will be back again. No.
I will. Dude, it sucks is like I was so excited for the season. Bam, the wind gets taken out of my sails, but it's like, all right, we'll be back. And I just got to keep my mind right, keep my body right. The good part about this is the rest of my body gets to heal now.
Yeah.
Sucky part about it is I can't use my dominant arm. I'm learning how to do everything left-handed now.
Hey, brush teeth left-handed. They say that like you're supposed to brush teeth left-handed to get that. I don't even know why you're supposed to do it.
It's to like fire the other side of your brain or something.
That's what it is. Yeah.
It's something to do with your brain. Like I might become smarter after this. Who knows?
Here we go.
There's a positive there.
Yeah. I want to talk about, like you talked about getting big in the weight room this summer, working as an intern. Obviously, like swimmers people don't talk about it. We go decently hard in the weight room, harder than people would expect. a must.
I was thoroughly impressed. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's what, like, you wouldn't think swimming, like, oh, big lifters, but strength in the pool is very important, obviously. Like, the stronger you are, the more water you pull, like, the faster you're going to go through the water.
It makes perfect sense.
Exactly. So, no, but you guys go way harder than we do. So talk to me a little bit about, like, lifting with the team, have that dynamic.
So usually we get rack partners. I don't have a partner. Unfortunately, it's because Cade's back is hurt usually and he can't back squat. But like lifting with partners is insane. Like we did the 10 rep RPE, which was the squat program. Obviously you guys did it too.
Yeah.
And the first day I'm just like, dude, this is going to suck. And what's the funny part is me and Spencer Moore, our 125 pounder, we did it last summer actually. So the summer before this one to be test subjects. Spencer's back squat, he's 125 pounds, right? That's the weight class he wrestles. Went up 100 pounds.
Oh.
Like
from that 10 rep.
That 10 rep thing. And we only did it for I think 2 months. If that, I think a month maybe. Yeah, his back squat went up 100 pounds. Mine went up like 50. So this summer we're hitting it hard, and of course, me and Spencer were always across from each other because it worked out where somehow I always had to have like a smaller guy so then I could actually use most weight on the bar because I'm pretty much the strongest kid on the team, and
yeah,
it's nice knowing like, oh yeah, you're the strongest kid on the team, but then it's like, damn, dude, I have to put on heavy weight all the time. And so there's days where I'm like, dude, the lift is gonna suck today because I'm tired, but it's like, nope, you got to give your 100%, even though it might not be the 100% you had yesterday. Like Nick likes to preach that. Like give your 100% no matter what. Your 100% could look different than it did yesterday. Could look better than it did or worse. And I live by that. And he likes to say when you're tired, you're dangerous. He just started telling us that recently. And so I'm like, all right, I'm dangerous since I'm tired. And so in the summer, I'd get done coaching the team and all right, let's go squat some heavy weight.
Yeah.
So we're putting on, I think my heaviest I got to was for the 10 rep max, I had 450 on the bar. And I hit that for like 15 reps.
Yeah, that's different. Yeah, no, none of the swimmers are doing that.
As soon as I got done and racked it, I'm walking. My legs are shaking. And Nick's like, and I fall to the ground and Nick's like, get up. I'm like, I can't. He goes, get up. And I'm like, all right. And I'm telling you, my legs are like cramping as I'm walking. And then, so yeah, that was my first set of the day. And then one of the other interns says, oh, you can't do the full 20. Like challenging me like, oh, you can't go max out. And I'm like, bet. So when you do 15 plus, you got to put on 10 extra pounds. So I put 460 on. I'm like, they don't think I can do it for 20 reps. I'm going to do this for 20 reps. Yeah, I did 460 for 20 reps. I felt even worse after.
I mean, obviously. Yeah. You're going up in weight, going up in reps.
Going up in weight, going up in reps. And as soon as I got done, I'm just looking at I go, you said I couldn't do what? I'm just like, I love proving.
You had to let them know. Yeah.
I love proving people wrong. Like, it's a weird perspective to look at, but being kind of the villain is kind of fun sometimes. Like, I love going in enemy territory, being the guy who goes, I can win this for the team. Let's do it. And then at your team, you're like, yeah. And everybody's just like, boo. Like, thank you. I love it. And so it's like, all right. So my mindset all summer was like, let's get jacked. And so I was lifting probably 6 days a week, twice a week. A lot of it was on my own because we lifted 4 times for wrestling during the year. So a lot of my other lifts, and we did a lot of leg stuff with Nick. So obviously I didn't do legs outside of wrestling. We don't do barbell bench press for wrestling at all.
No, we don't either.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we share weights coach.
Exactly. So. And it makes sense because it's supposed to help with shoulder health. And obviously you guys use your shoulders a lot for swimming and wrestlers need it too. So a lot of my extra lifts were obviously bro lifts. Like, all right, yeah, I could go hit some upper body, maybe do some hamstring work. And so I would go to the Y with my roommate a lot.
So you would lift extra on top of what you were doing.
Yeah, it'd be like after my internship too. Like it'd be like, so I'll tell you what like my daily life in the summer was like. So I would wake up at 6:30, get to my internship by like 7:30, like set up the lift for a team, coach a team, all right, go change for my lift, go shower, come back to the place, coach, go to practice. Sometimes I'd come back after practice because it would depend if weight room was open or not. Sometimes, a lot of the times it was closed. So we get done at practice about 5 o'clock. And so our internship basically went from 7 to 5 every day. And I did that. And on top of that, I worked out twice with the team. And then sometimes I'd go get a third workout in and just go lift.
Yeah.
And
Summer's the time to do that.
And summer is because
time to grind.
It is because you got no schoolwork. You can prioritize eating, sleeping, and doing everything else. And so I was like, cool. Roommate would be like, you want to go lift today? I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. And
you talking having like when you said you would write down like a motivational quote, he would like turn on like a motivational like video on the way to the gym with like music behind it. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so we'd always go to the Y and he goes, let's go max out on bench today. And I'm like, all right. This is a funny story, actually. So we're maxed out on the bench, and I have 385 on the bar for bench. And next thing you know, I go down racket. The power goes out.
In the Y.
In the Y.
Oh.
And I'm just like, what the hell? And it's quiet in there. So it echoes out, and I'm like, I mean, I can still do it. And then I'm like, nah, let's be safe.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, dude, what do we do? And he goes, Gutty, we need to go to the wrestling room right now. So we put our sweatshirts on because we're trying to keep the chest pump we have so we don't have to warm up again. We get to the weight room facility. We try the weights we did before. We failed them. We're just like, what the hell? And so like we worked out either in the wrestling room at the Y, depending on what was open. Like I fell in love with weightlifting a lot more this summer. So I was like, let's do it a lot more. And obviously I have a lot more knowledge about it. I got my nutrition right. And I mean, I was huge. Like it was funny because I say I'm like 270 right now, but like I was 275 over the summer, but I was like a big 275.
Yeah.
Because I was more muscle than I was fat. And obviously now with surgery, it's like I'm becoming more just, I don't know. Surgery, it's weird because you get in a hypermetabolic state. So I'm going to lose a lot of muscle mass. And so it's like the day I can start lifting again, I'm getting that muscle mass back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
And so like weightlifting was crazy. And like, so the one time, I guess the best week, obviously, is the end of the summer, it's max out. We do back squat. I hit 580. Like, let's go. I was pissed. I was like, dude, I wanted 600.
Yeah.
But like, no, all right, it didn't happen. We do deadlifts. I hit 725. I was like, let's go. And then we do cleans. I hit 315. I think it was 315 or 320. It was around there. I can't really remember. I think it was 315. And I was struggling because what sucks is at 315 at home, I did it no problem. But I get here and it's like mental. I have Nick watching me and it's like, oh, no, I can't do it. That
pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for bench, I hit 405. That was tough. I did it at the YMCA with my boy. And I about got kids kicked out of the gym because they got hyped.
Oh, yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, they're fine. They're fine.
You would have got them kicked out of Planet Fitness with that lunk alarm.
Probably.
Yeah.
They probably would have been like, sir, please don't even attempt this.
Yeah.
Dude, Planet Fitness is hilarious. I want to go lift in there one day just to see if I can actually get kicked out for the lunk alarm.
Oh, you would easily get kicked out.
See, I feel like the lunk alarm is just there to like scare you. Like I've never seen a video where it actually goes off.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just see.
I've seen videos of like big guys, like absolutely massive bodybuilders going in and they just pretty much set it off like right away because they're just maxing out the machines and everything.
I'm gonna have to find those ones because like that'd be fun to do that. And plus, I feel like most of the time they'll just come up to you and just kick you out and not actually turn it on to like actually get everybody's attention in the gym and ruin everybody's workout. So, but yeah, the summer was definitely a fun grind.
Yeah. How important? I mean, in swimming we talked about it a little bit. Like weightlifting is very important, but it's not I wouldn't say it's the most important aspect of the sport. I would say technique is very important, but I would say lifting weights is the quickest way to find a lot of improvement in the pool. So how important is weightlifting to wrestling?
See, for heavyweight, I think it's a lot. It's really important because most heavyweights don't cut weight.
Yeah.
I'm never cutting weight. I'm always around 270. So I'm always 15 pounds underweight. I can eat whatever, drink whatever. And so for me, maintaining my strength is very important because I have to move somebody else that's my size.
Yeah.
And I have to make them fold under my will, essentially. It's like they make them my,
Yeah.
And so it's like I got to do that. So I got to stay strong. And so for me, weightlifting is a lot more important than, say, somebody who's like 125 pounds and cutting weight. But weightlifting is a little different during the season because it becomes more of a keeping your strength, the maintenance thing, and also injury prevention. Like weightlifting is big for injury prevention, I think, which helps, if you do it right, helps with shoulder health, obviously knee health, and hip health. Core strength helps with everything. Obviously, it's like weightlifting during the season is very important for injury prevention. It's also one of those things like it does help with certain positions like pull-ups. If you could do a bunch of pull-ups, you're going to probably pull somebody's leg into you. Like when you shoot a shot, you're going to be like, all right, that's my leg. Just like, and essentially like that's what a deadlift is. A deadlift's like, mat return is basically lifting somebody else's above. Sometimes I can get somebody, I got him above my head one time. And this is like a 250-pound dude. Like, it's like, oh, and then you put him on the bat and they're like, all right, cool. But like, I think being strong is important because that makes you move somebody. And it's weird because like trying to move somebody who's 250 and they're trying to act as dead weight sometimes is harder than like deadlifting 500 pounds. And you're just like,
how does that make any sense?
It doesn't make any sense, but it does because it's like he's resisting you picking him up. If that makes sense. So it's like, all right. And so it's like, and it's also important. It's like heavyweight's got some big legs, dude. And so when I grab somebody's leg, it's like, sometimes it's like, man, that felt like a workout itself. And then still got to finish the match. So it's like, all right, cool. So I think weightlifting is very important. Obviously, you said it helps your performance in the pool. And I think weightlifting also helps keep your mind sharp. Also can help get the weight off sometimes if you need it to. And it just, like I said, it keeps you focused, helps with I think weight management too, in a good way. Like it keeps the lean muscle mass instead of, I'm gonna let body fat creep in. And also, like I said, injury prevention is the number one thing that it helps with.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you talked a little bit about what it's like wrestling. Obviously, I have respect for all the athletes here at UNC. Like it takes a lot of hard work to get here, but I'm always under the impression that swimming is one of the harder sports if you look at the amount of hours that we put in, that we're doing, that we're working out. It is typically more than some other sports. But the two sports that I have the most respect for are gymnastics because they're on that grind, and wrestling. Like you guys actually, I think you work the hardest out of all the sports here, and you're in a combat sport. Like you're not necessarily wrestling to kill somebody or to avoid being killed, but it's that same kind of mindset. It's that attack and defend yourself mindset. So what is it like mentally for you? Like how do you get in that zone? Like what is it like wrestling competing D1 in a combat sport?
First, I'm going to give my roses to swimming. I try to do some swimming over the summer for conditioning workouts. It sucked. It really does. You try to put a wrestler, obviously, in a pool, and a swimmer on a wrestling mat, it's going to suck for them either way.
Yeah, we'll talk about putting a swimmer on a wrestling mat in a minute. Yeah,
I respect the hell out of swimming. But, dude, yeah, like, getting in the right mindset sometimes. My dad calls it flipping the switch. So sometimes you got to go to a dark place. Like, sometimes you got to pretend this dude is killing your mom. And, like, it's a very graphic image. But on bottom, they tell us, like, imagine your mom is getting raped and you need to get up. But this guy's holding you down and if he's holding you down, then you can't save her. So when you think about that, dude, you're going to get up off the mat. Like, this guy's not holding me down. Like, I need to get up. I need to go help my mom and dad. Yeah, I know it's very graphic, but like wrestlers, we could be considered a little crazy, but I think that's just the passion we have for the sport too. Like there's a lot of wrestlers who are very passionate about it, and it might make it seem like they're crazy based on their mindset, but I think it's just it's coming from a passionate place in their heart. Like there's times where I'm like, for me, I think I wrestle better when I'm excited, honestly. Like I get excited and I'm like, cool. Like when I wrestled in the Virginia match, saw my parents up in the stands. I'm like, I can't lose. They're here. And, I was just excited. And then sometimes it's like I go into a match and I'm like, dude, I just want to kill this kid. Like that switch just comes on. Like, it's like, let's just go do it. And it's a very weird thing because you got to learn to obviously turn it on and turn it off. And there's even times in a match where you got to turn it on and turn it off because if you leave it on the whole time, your adrenaline's going and it wears you out quick.
Those are long matches. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes matches, my very first match in college went to like triple overtime. It was almost a 20-minute wrestling match.
Oh, man.
Dude.
That's crazy.
Dude, this match, I'm telling you, I get off the mat and they say, oh, yeah, you got another match. And I go, huh?
After the 20-minute triple OT? Oh.
Yeah, and I'm like looking at like my coaches. I'm like, you're kidding, right? They're like, nah. And I'm just like, bro, I'm so tired. I haven't wrestled that hard in a long time. Like, it felt like I just got done. We call it grind matches at practice.
Yeah.
And so this is where your mindset really gets built. So a lot of your mindset gets built in the practice room. And so these grind matches are matches that are nonstop, and they could be from anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour. So the one time, this year, and we're under the our new head coach, Rob Cole, and we do a 30-minute grind match. So it's 30 minutes of live wrestling nonstop. You know what they're playing in the background for music? What does the fox say?
Oh, so they're getting in your head.
So yeah, they're trying to get in your head, but they also want you to block it out and just focus on wrestling. And so some guys were like, dude, I'm going to remember that song the whole time. They're like, well, then you weren't thinking about wrestling. So it's like, that's fair. Because I swear I thought I could recite the whole song after, but then I went back and I'm like, no, I can't recite the whole song. Dude, I was just, I didn't like the song after the first time. Second time, I'm just like, dude, let's just wrestle. Let's just get in the zone. So like, once you enter like that flow state, it's hard to get out of it. And getting in the flow state can be hard. Sometimes it's easy. And once you're in it, it's like, I feel like I'm the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah. I think that flow state is a little different for wrestling than swimming. For swimming, like, I have had moments. I mean, I played a lot of other sports growing up. Soccer was a big one that I played, and I would get in that, like, oh, I want to kill this guy. Not actually, but like, I want to beat this guy up kind of a thing. And I would body some kids and it would help me. But I've done that in swimming. I flipped that switch and it's slowed me down. It's hurt me because I'm trying to power my way through the water too much. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to finesse it. So that flow state for wrestling, is it more of a, like, I want to kill you kind of flow state, or is it balance?
I think there's two different types.
Okay.
So there's like a wrestling angry, and then there's a I'm wrestling calm, everything's coming to me. Like, that's how I like wrestling. I'm calm, everything's just coming to me. Sometimes when you have to, you gotta wrestle angry.
Yeah.
That's kind of, I think that's what a Coach Cole is telling about. Like, you want to know when to flip the switch, because that's when the adrenaline comes in and it wears you out. And like for swimming, it doesn't make sense. You don't want to, obviously there's technique involved, right? You want to just glide through the water essentially.
Yeah.
Like same with wrestling. Like sometimes, like, yeah, being angry is nice because you can club a guy, which is bam, bam on his head. Because you're doing it, when you're doing it angry, it'll wear him out. But then sometimes it's like, oh, you created an angle, but you'll miss it. So then, oh, I could have had a shot there, but I missed it because I'm so worried about just taking this kid's head off. So you have to find that perfect balance, kind of where like you're in between both. But I like entering the calm and collected like flow state better, because then it's like, oh, I see stuff before it's even gonna happen in a match. It kind of it's weird. My like matches feel like they slow down, and it's kind of weird because it's like, damn, okay, cool. It's like, that's cool. All right, cool. That happened. All right, and then you're like, and you don't even think about wrestling. You just kind of do it. You stop thinking, and that's my issue a lot of the time too. Is I think a lot when I wrestle.
I had that issue my freshman year. I would overanalyze everything while I was doing it.
That's me.
Yeah.
Like, I still do that. Like, if I just stop thinking and I do what the technique I know, dude, I feel like I'm gonna be on the podium in March. It's like, all right, so what can I do to get there more often? And it's like, I think that's honestly something I can work on too now that I'm injured, is working that mindset of, hey, don't think, just do it. It's kind of like, maybe I need to watch more Star Wars and just listen to Yoda more, but
figure out that meditation state.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, see, that's funny. He's the Greco coach he brought in. Mo, he's not with the team anymore, but he'd always be like, Gutty, you got to flow like water. Because I think he would know, like, that I think too much.
Yeah.
I think he could just
see it. Yeah, exactly.
And so, like, there's times I wouldn't. He goes, see, you're flowing like water now. And so it's like, now I think I kind of get that. So it's like, all right, maybe I need to sit back now that I have actual time and just, all right, let's work on something I've been struggling with in my wrestling game, my mindset.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, that's easy to say to do, because watch, I'm going to come back in my very first match. I always get nervous before my matches. I always am, but I'm going to be nervous as hell. It's going to be my first match after almost getting a brand new shoulder.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's when you got to learn. That's when I got to learn my butterflies being nervous. That's when I got to be excited. Because, dude, I haven't got to wrestle a match in, it's going to be a year because I got hurt in the very first match of the season.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, cool. I'm going to basically not wrestle another match for the Tar Heels for a year.
Yeah, but it'll be that much better when you get back.
Once I get there.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I want to switch gears a little because you mentioned putting a swimmer on a wrestling mat. Okay, obviously you've got at least 70, 80 pounds over most of the guys, the 197 guys, and then a lot of weight above the rest of the guys on the team in lower weight classes. So you could handle everybody on your team pretty easily, right? So I want to talk a little bit about weight classes. I have no wrestling experience whatsoever, right? I consider myself athletic. I'm here, I'm athletic. I'm 190. What's going to happen if I go up against a 125 guy? What's going to happen? When he's at 125, not at practice weight, like 125.
So we're talking about like day of a wrestling match.
Yeah,
then.
day of wrestling match.
So,
I don't have to cut. Don't let me.
Plus or minus, so I'm gonna say he's gonna be about 130, just because obviously he's gonna rehydrate.
Yeah.
After weigh-ins. Spencer Moore, that's gonna be your opponent, obviously, because that's our 125 pounder. I think he'd be in a wrestling match just because, like, technique wise, he's gonna have it. And it's funny because I know there's guys who are like, oh, weight's what it takes. Weight is all it is weight. Yeah, weight classes are there for a reason for combat sports. Because if you put two different people in a weight class that have the same level of technique, the bigger dude's usually going to win because they have the weight advantage, the strength advantage. Now, you put somebody who's smaller with somebody bigger who doesn't know what they're doing, it's like, oh yeah, like you're going to get smoked. So like, yeah, I think you'd have a decent chance because you're bigger. So like, if he would have to change the way he wrestles you a lot, because if he shoots directly underneath you and you sprawl, which is basically put all your weight on him, which I think you could be pretty good at because that's just kind of a natural thing.
Yeah.
He's not going to be able to finish as well as he does on a normal 125 pounder because obviously there's like 70 more pounds added on. So it's like, but yeah, I think Spencer could get it done. I wouldn't say it'd be really easy, but I wouldn't say it's going to be super hard. I say it'd be like in between, like depending also. And it also depends on how well your swimming gas tank transitions into a wrestling match. And, like I said, you told me to go swim for like 7 minutes straight, I'm going to be dead after. You told me to go wrestle for 7 minutes straight, I'd be like, oh, dude, I could do that, no problem.
I mean, yeah, like I feel like I could maybe hang for a minute or two, but y'all have long matches. Like I probably couldn't hang that whole time just because that's not what I'm used to doing. Mm-hmm. Like obviously, if I trained for a little bit, like I'd probably have to train for a year to be comfortable wrestling a 125 guy. But there is that skill gap. Like I would expect a 125 guy to be able to take me out. Like I'm not gonna be arrogant and think like, no, I could easily take him. Like, no, I would actually like to do it just to see. I think it would be fun.
But see, you also need the arrogance of like, oh, I could do this, because you need that confidence in yourself.
Yeah, and see, I think, yeah, if it were boxing, I think I could do it.
Oh, dude, boxing, like,
yeah,
I think so. Just because, like, you obviously you can just jab to death because you have reach advantage.
Well, I'm just more confident
Yeah.
in my boxing ability.
You know what this makes me think of? Bradley Martin.
No, that's why I brought it up, because he always like, but I'm 260 though. Like I think he would get his handed to him.
100%. People are saying Mighty Mouse. Demetrius Johnson. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh, I've heard of him.
Yeah, so Mighty Mouse. You gotta look up some highlights, dude. He did a standing armbar essentially. He went from like an uppercut, bam, grabs this guy arm, jumps up and comes down and he just arm bars this guy straight down to the mat, the octagon.
Oh, this is the UFC guy.
Yes.
Yeah. I've seen this guy.
Yes.
What's he weigh? He's a small guy.
He's the smallest weight class. I think it's like 125 pounds.
Yeah.
And so they're like, if you got into a street fight with DJ, Demetrius Johnson, or Mighty Mouse, that's also his nickname, how do you think you'd do? MMA fighters are all saying, dude, Bradley is getting his ass beat. But Bradley's like, well, I'm 260. I grab him. Well, they're like, well, the one-off chance you actually grab him, they're like, dude, he knows high-level jiu-jitsu. He knows high-level striking. This guy's considered best fighter, pound for pound, to like ever step in an octagon. It's like, this dude's insane. And they're like, well, what if it came to a boxing match? Well, DJ would just do body shots. And then they're like, well, what if it came to wrestling? He'd get behind you and probably choke you out somehow. Same with jiu-jitsu. Like, dude, there's heel hooks. He can leg kick. So my brother just brought up, there's a video apparently Bradley Martin was doing jiu-jitsu against somebody who Bradley had no experience in jiu-jitsu. This guy had a little bit. And they're he said they're similar in height and weight. And Bradley got beat. Like, that's going back to the technique part. Like we talked about earlier, like, yeah, two people that are the same size have the same technique. Yeah, they're probably going to have an even battle. Have somebody who's bigger and who has two people, one's bigger. No, they're both same size, but one has better technique. That person's going to, so it's like, if he's going to go against one of the best MMA fighters, dude, you're going to get your ass beat.
I mean, yeah.
Like, there's a video of him wrestling, I think, the Nauk Boy's bodyguard. And he's like, he was actually good at wrestling and he couldn't beat him.
Yeah. But
they're like, and he's like, beating Steve will do it in a wrestling match. Like, dude, Steve, he's not a wrestler.
No.
Like, me personally, I think I could beat Bradley Martin in a fight.
Hey, there you go. I'm going to clip that.
You're more than welcome to.
Yeah, thank you. No, I fully healthy. I trust you on that one. I think there is a little difference between wrestling and straight up street fighting.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, that's why I bring up the point of the 125 guy. I think if I don't beat him in the first minute or two, I'm screwed.
Yeah,
I'm screwed because his technique, he's just gonna wear me out. He's got speed on me. He's got endurance on me that I don't have. If I don't get him quick, it's over.
Exactly.
Kind of thing. That's the thing with those, like, the bigger guys take it on little guys. Like, if you got one punch. My dad always said you got one punch. If you don't
hit it,
you're done.
You're done. Yeah. So. Yeah, dude. I mean, and most fights end up on the ground anyways, and so that's.
And then the wrestlers take over.
That's where the wrestlers win, and it's funny because I've gotten to. I wouldn't say arguments, but there's football players who are like, dude, I could beat you up. I'm like, well, do it then.
Yeah.
Come on. And they get close. I won't say his name, but he's the starting left tackle for us. One day in school, he's messing around. He says he beat my ass. I go up to him, and I pick him up, and I lift him up. Like, he goes, put me down.
Had to let him know.
And I put him down. All the receivers are over there, and I said, you see that? He's my...
Had to let him know.
I'm like, dude, you just have to. Like, and it was funny because then he goes, dude, if we were just boxing, I'm like, but dude, if a fight isn't just boxing, like, I could leg kick you. I could, I even forgot about that. Like, Bradley getting leg kicked. I don't think he's gonna be ready for that either.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, like like you said, got that one punch, better land it.
All right. So every time I like to ask this question, like, it was been a dream of mine to compete D1 swimming. Like, obviously, now that I'm here, a lot of young kids look up to me because that's their dream. So what kind of advice do you have? Like, because you've definitely got kids looking up to you as a D1 wrestler. What kind of advice do you have is for those kids trying to live their dream?
First, I would look at your character. Like, a lot of it is like, yeah, you want to be a great athlete, but a lot of times you get recruited as the person too. So like, a lot of it is like, when a kid, even if, you just lost a match, a kid wants your autograph, like, do it. Like, or, in high school, like, a kid wants your picture, like, just do it and try to have a positive outlook, try to keep a smile. And that's my biggest advice too. And also, like, don't be afraid to put the extra work in. My mom and dad like to say, like, wrestle or obviously train or practice, because I played football too. So they'd always say, even when you do a workout and it's on your own, workout like somebody's watching. And so, like, that was the biggest thing I set out for. So it's like, you have to give your 100% even when nobody's there and it's just you. So if you can do that, you can achieve anything. Like, if you are passionate about it, it's going to happen no matter what. And my biggest advice is just don't be afraid to branch out and do other things either. Like, I wanted to be a D1 football player.
Yeah.
I was told I was too small. Yeah. Isn't that funny?
That's, if you're too small, I'm way too small. So, but I know.
I played offensive line in high school though. So, dude, offensive linemen are 6'7". I said, I was the best kid at this one Iowa camp. I'm like, well, cool. If I can't be a Division I athlete in there, I'm gonna go try to be a Division I athlete in wrestling. I did it.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you want to be a Division I athlete and you have aspirations to do it, you gotta do right in the classroom. You gotta do right outside of you have to live a good life. Like, you can't go out and drink and party and do all this. Like, you gotta live right if you want to get to where you want to be. And to me, that is the best advice someone has told me.
Yeah. You got to sacrifice and you got to work hard. There's no getting around that.
No,
unless you are God's gift to talent, like to your sport.
And there are people like that, but usually if you put in the work and you trust in God, he'll get you where you need to be.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. That's a great note to end on. Thank you for coming out, Gutty.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
I love this. Yeah. This has been awesome.
This has been fun. I love it.
For sure. Yeah. Well, thank you. Good luck. Good luck rehabbing. I'm excited to see you back on the mat next season.
Appreciate it. Good luck with your season.
Thank you.